What are you playing with over
Final Fantasy.
there? Oh,
Is that
that's
the
that
guy?
1/6 scale one, huh?
He was riding on the bike, right?
They're like 10th scale.
Oh,
That's the
really?
dude that was on the bike upstairs.
Yeah, this is a different version of him.
Oh, the bikeless version.
Yeah, no, the one on the bike's from a movie. This one's from the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. So, guys, we're live. So,
oh,
Oh,
Okay.
hey
Well.
there, internet land.
yeah.
let's start this thing.
Let's do it.
Yo, welcome
Yo.
everybody to Breaking the Mold, episode 108. I'm the backup Puerto Rican of the night. Jose couldn't be here. He has some real studying and stuff to do. Starting to crank away at school. So he'll be missed today, but Jose, you owe me, bro. I wasn't expecting to host tonight. I was gonna call out.
Oh wow.
But how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good.
Right?
Very good.
Wonderful.
All right, cool. So Dom, why don't you tell us about your weekend?
It was good. It was my niece's 17th, 17th birthday this Sunday. So I was in Long Island celebrating that.
So
and
that means she gets her driver's license.
yeah, she's got her learner's permit right now. So I think she has it. She's going for her test or I don't know.
I was reading an
I
article.
don't know. I don't know what the process. I don't know the process now these days.
I was reading an article that they don't care if you can't parallel park anymore. Do you think that's still true?
I'm pretty
Not
sure
when
it's
if you're
still-
living in if you're living in New York, it's if you're living in Brooklyn and New York and Queens and all that. Yeah, I think you should know how to parallel park.
It's like a
Wait.
must. You have to know.
It's a must.
Yes.
I can't begin to tell you how many times I've done it. When I was dating Tanya and she was living in Brooklyn.
Dom, real
And
question: have you ever hit anybody's car?
no.
No.
I shoveled a spot out once before, like, it was one of those snowstorms, and like you're driving, like you all know, because if you live in Brooklyn, you know that you're probably going to be driving a while to find a fucking spot after 7:00 or like 6:30, and so I would there was one time it snowed and. It was 2 days after the snowstorm, and then basically there would be spots available, but there'd be snow all in the spot. So for saving myself a half hour driving around to find a spot, I actually pulled over, had a shovel in my car, and the purpose was that I always kept the shovel in the car because of that. And I basically started shoveling the spot out, and I parked right in the spot.
And ultimately, I think that's why Tanya married you, because you showed up.
Yeah.
I would have never.
And
did
I
that, and I'm.
I actually did it more than once. I did it a couple of times because I think the year that we were dating, there was like I think there was like 3 or 4 snowstorms that year. So,
Dude, in New York, do people try to block off said shoveled spot when they leave with chairs and bullshit like that? Yeah, it's like
They put their garbage cans.
yeah.
yeah.
People do that here too.
New York too. Like if you're at you see like job sites doing construction. Like I can only assume that's where they got the cones unless they ordered them themselves.
Right,
There's
yeah.
people on my block now that pull out cones. So
Oh, jeez. Yeah, Chicago would do that too when I lived there at times.
The thing is, it's always a tease because it's like when you're driving around trying to find a spot, you always have like a driveway that you can't park in, park there, or a hydrant, which then you can't park there. So it's like you're driving down a road and you're like, oh, spot. No, it's a driveway. Oh, spot. No, it's not a hydrant.
So I always said nothing beats a Wrangler in that setting because you just plop right in.
It's just a pain in the ass. Then you see that spot and it requires you to parallel park in that spot, and that's when it comes in handy, Brian, because if you are skittish about parallel parking, then you attempt 2 times, and then you got somebody coming down the road, and you're getting all nervous and flustered, and you're like, oh my god, I can't do this, and then you give up, and then you just like, I'll find another spot. But that other spot might not come until a half hour down the road.
And that other person tries to intimidate you on purpose,
Yeah.
honk the horn at you, and then they end up trying to take it,
Yeah.
When I was in college, I was walking around campus, and there was this girl who was having trouble parallel parking her car. So I parallel parked it for her.
Yo,
Her name
I
was
might have told
her name
you
was
that.
Amanda.
Ooh, I don't like that name. That's my ex-wife's name. But
Amanda, hug and kiss.
Oh damn!
Yo, you reminded me of a story. So there was one time I might have told you guys this before, since we talk so much, but I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I wanted to take my dad's car out for a spin. This is when we lived back in Queens. And, I didn't ever get it out of the parking spot because it was probably maybe about a good 4 inches in the front, another 4 in the back. And I kept trying to get it out. And I was hitting the car behind me, hitting the car in front of me.
Oh, Jesus.
To the point that I just gave up, and I locked the car and I went back upstairs. So then my dad comes in the house the next day. Fucking people can't fucking park in New York. I got fucking dings in the front, dings in the back. I'm red face, I hope he doesn't realize it was me. But
So did you ever come clean?
no, hell no. I mean, I might do it now, but I don't want him to hold it against me. So he might, keep that in his back pocket. So
I have a similar story, Dave, where my brother, my neighbor borrowed we had a station wagon, and they ended up using or borrowing the station wagon for some particular reason. I think it was because for the space, and I think they needed to bring something from their house to a family friend's house. So they borrowed the car, and so they returned the car, and my brother, I guess within that day or the next day, he took the car out for a joyride, which he wasn't supposed to because he was underage and he was driving. And stupid him was coming down the driveway a little bit too fast, and he ended up crashing in by a brick wall that we have at the end of the driveway. And
your brother?
Yeah, and it dented the front bumper. Not bad to the point where it was noticeable, but enough to where if you actually walk in front of the car, you would notice it.
How was the wall?
The wall was fine, actually. That was the scare. That was there was a piece of brick that chipped off, but you really couldn't see it if you're not. So I guess my mom the next day, my mom I guess noticed it, and she comes inside, and at dinner she mentions to my dad, he's like, I think our neighbor crashed our car and didn't tell us.
The neighbor also leaves the light on at night in the room, I think.
Yep. And he's like, he's looking at me and I'm like, and this
Good
neighbor
story,
is
right, bro?
The neighbor is my best friend. His parents were my, he's my best friend. So it was hard for me not to confess, but there was a written rule that we can't tell on each other. So not until years. My mom didn't even say anything. My mom didn't say anything to the neighbor. She might have thought she was under the impression that she didn't know, or so it didn't want to become an awkward situation, and so my mom never said anything. And at the end of the day, I think it was I would say 10 years later, my brother finally told my mom. We were sitting down at a barbecue, and we actually told her the story, and she fucking laughed her ass off and said, "You motherfucker." But yeah, it was funny.
That's awesome.
I thought it was the neighbor all these years.
So the funny part to me is this happened when he got back home. Or when he left.
No, he would, this wasn't the first time he ever took out the car. He would just take out the car, drive it around the neighborhood, bring back the car, and then he was bringing back the car while he went around the neighborhood. And we have a local, the Wawa, a convenience store that he would drive to and pick up some food and stuff. So he would do this not with a license, and my parents wouldn't know. And I guess he was coming back, and my sister and myself were outside, and I guess he was trying to impress us, and he went down the driveway a little bit too fast, and he couldn't. I guess there was a lot of sand like at the end of the driveway where he tried to stop, and it skid right into the wall.
Oh.
So. But it was just funny because I remember like the dinner when my mom was telling my dad, and I was like, oh shit, is she gonna say something to them, like, you know, and she never did, so it never materialized to the point where, you know, my neighbor said no, I didn't hit I didn't do it, and then if that ever happened, that conversation happened, my mom would be like, Jerry, you know, right, go to him, because it's like anything that broke in the house. It was right to me and him, so, you know, but it was you know, it was funny when the time we told her in the barbecue and just let it all out, and she was like laughing her ass off because it's like years past, you know, a long time passed, and couldn't really be angry at us about it. So
I learned to drive when I was 9.
Yeah, like a lot of people do it. Like my friend used to do it all the time.
A lot of people learn how to
drive.
A lot
of people live on farms have tractors.
Drive underage. Like, you know, I'm not.
I mean, I don't know about you, Dom, but like my alcoholic father, you know, ran out of beer. So, hey, you're going to drive me down. I'm going to be responsible, and I'm going to teach my 9-year-old son to drive me down to the bar so I can get another 12-pack.
Well, a 9-year-old sober kid driving a car is better than a 21. You know?
I learned how to drive when I was 9, playing pole position at the arcade.
I mean, that's the extent of what I wanted to leave it, but you know, obviously it wasn't good enough.
My friend always used to take out his father's car, at 16, 15 years old, and just drive around, try to, you know, impress us and pull up with his father's car. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But
there was I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not gonna tell it. How was your week? Your weekend aside from that was good and everything.
Yeah. And then I met up with some friends Saturday night, some high school buddies, and
you guys do that every year, right?
Yeah. We do it like try to do it twice a year.
During the time changes, that's when you get together.
Yeah.
Cut the visit, you know, cut it short a little.
Yeah. We try to meet up at least twice a year when we can.
I'm gonna change the batteries in my smoke detectors and meet my friends this weekend.
Yeah.
Is that like football buddies, or is it? Like
Yeah. That in that, if you guys saw the picture, it's my quarterback, running back, wide receiver. So it's pretty much the whole skill team that was there at the table.
Oh, the skill team. So you guys don't invite the bench guys, even though they're probably some of the coolest guys out there.
Oh,
I don't think
we invited one lineman, but he didn't attend. He had a prior engagement with his sons, so he was unable to attend. So
nice.
But he you know, yeah, that as much as we, you know, the people are nearby, we all live still in the tri-state area. So some of them live in New York, some live in New Jersey, and that's about it. Yeah, whether it's New York or New Jersey.
What's the other state that makes up the tri-state area?
Connecticut.
Connecticut, I think.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I never thought of that.
Or Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Pennsylvania.
You pick it, Gary. It's 3 of them. It could be any of 3 states you want, Gary.
The New York tri-state area is New Jersey and Connecticut and New York.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, I've lived in 2 of those 3 states. I never really realized that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Nomad, tell us how your weekend was.
It was fine. Christina and I just hung out. It was pretty cool. I'm enjoying, I've got this weekend coming up is my last weekend off before the new store work assignment opens. And then after that, it'll just be, kind of back to a rotating schedule. So having the 2 days off has been nice, but yeah, it's very calm. But we just did some stuff around the house on Friday, so we could just hang out Saturday and Sunday. It's real nice weather, real Just did that little couples weekend.
What's the weather like there right now?
It's like 75.
Oh, I think
75.
it hit close to 70 today here. It was
It's
like
a
60 something.
nice breeze. Yeah, it hasn't been too humid yet. It I don't know what's going to happen in the summer though. I think I'm going to melt because when it does get cooler, like this weekend was a little bit cooler, the I'm like loving that, but I think it's just going to be tough when it hits those like freaking 95 plus degree days continuously. So we'll see.
Yup.
Thank God.
Hey Gary, you speaking of couples, have you made any adult friends down there besides your work people?
Yeah, that's a great question. The answer is no. Yeah, no, it's been tough. It's so Christina she started working right away. She ended up having a job before we got here, so that just makes it a little bit tougher, when you're both working real quick. But yeah, no, we committed to trying, Brian. So we've got to do a better job of it because it's just hard. There's people in the neighborhood that have kids and stuff like that. So we've said hello and made small talk in passing, but nobody else that we really hung out with. So. And I've got some friends, Jisk and his wife are super cool. They're not too far, but they're not super close either. They're about an hour and 15 minutes north from us. And Sarah and Christina got along really well. So that's pretty cool. It's just a little tougher to coordinate. And I've got another good friend of mine from college. He and his wife and their family are about near like the Fort Lauderdale area. So they're about 3 hours from us. So we have to kind of meet in the middle a little bit, but it's hard, man. It's hard making as couples,
Oh, I know.
people.
The single guy, he knows.
I mean, I read about it. I see it on TV.
It doesn't seem that bad, Gary. I mean, the rest of us all live like 3 hours from you too. Together at least once in a while, right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
No doubt. And how about you, Brian? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Still here, still alive. Weekend was pretty good. I watched a movie called Haywire. The cast list seemed really well done. There's like Michael Douglas in it, and Ewan McGregor, and Michael Fassbender, and turns out that Channing Tatum dude was in there. So that's the first movie I ever saw with him in it. He wasn't in it much, but Gina Carano was in it. And so Netflix sent me an email to say we recommend this for you. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it, and I did. And it's good enough, decent movie. Gina was the main character. Actually, she's actually got some acting chops because I've only seen her in The Mandalorian, so this was something else. But I did learn after. I don't know about you guys, but after I watch a movie, I like to open up IMDb and read all the trivia about the movie. And it turns out that they dubbed her voiceover for the movie. They wanted somebody with a different voice. Yeah. I thought that was kind of odd.
You didn't pick up on that when you were watching the movie at all?
Like I said, I've only seen her in a couple episodes in The Mandalorian.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
I thought that was odd.
It's funny, right? I like when you watch something on Amazon Prime and then you pause it because it gives you like, kind of update on all the people in that scene, like automatically. It's kind of cool for that same thing.
Yeah.
Gives you a little...
And I also went to a little local toy show here on Sunday. The Pleasure Dome Toy Collectibles something.
Pleasure Dome?
Pleasure Dome.
Well then,
Yeah.
Brian's he's expanding his quote unquote collecting habits.
Yes.
See what he does when he's not with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different group.
Yeah. It was funny. I thought it was on Saturday. And Saturday I had errands. I had to go. I had to get a haircut, go to the post office. I was like, all right, I'll stop by the show. And then I pull up, no one's there, and I'm like, oh, it was Sunday. So I was like, all right, fine, I'll have to come back on Sunday. And I went in, and I have to say, I met the guy who I guess got it started. And he's an older gentleman. He's been doing this for a long, long time, and I could tell that he had a lot of older friends based on the stuff that was on the tables and things like that. That he got, had people come. So
Brian, I picture that scene from National Lampoon's Vacation when they finally made it to Wally World and the parking lot's empty. And he's like, "Park back here. First one's here. First one's to leave."
Yeah. Well, I'd never been to the place. It was like a community center type of thing, kind of like an old firehouse, but it's no longer a firehouse. So it is, one of those big multi-purpose rooms, and it actually had a kitchen there. They were making sandwiches and coffee and whatnot, yeah, I mean, I spent a couple hours there just kind of walking around, taking my time, saw some interesting stuff, but yeah, it was fun. It was kind of fun. I didn't see or smell anyone like coughing, being sick or nothing. So, but there was this one guy. He started coughing. You could everybody stopped and look at him like, dude, what's going on over there? No, but nah, it was good. It's a fun time. And yeah, that's about it. I watched Castlevania. That was good stuff.
Nice.
Yep.
I haven't got to season 3 yet. I just finished season 2 to try and catch up.
Oh, season 3's on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just started.
Dropped
Yeah.
last
Clone
week.
Wars and fucking
Yep.
Castlevania. Shit.
So, yeah.
Did you get any phone numbers, Brian, from the Pleasure Dome?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did take home some cards and shit. I don't know.
Hmm.
Check out such and such toy show at such and such. I mean, the toy show circuit's starting. There's one every weekend now till the end of April around here. So, well, not around here, but within an hour and a half drive, I guess. So.
Nice. How's my favorite meat bag?
He's okay. He's nasally.
You were out last week. You feeling better?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Day at a time, it gets a little bit better. Now it's just like sinus drainage and a nice cough. Little coughing fits here and there, and fun stuff. But yeah, weekend was pretty chill. We just Friday, Chan left to pick up her daughter, so she's here permanently now. Hooray!
Marissa,
About time.
in the house.
Yep. Marissa is in the house. Yeah, and we ran around a little bit on Sunday and Monday. Monday, actually, we didn't do much on Monday. We went out and I got some stuff I needed for some dios to finish up. That was pretty much it. Getting back into the swing of things. If you're waiting for stuff, I don't know if any of those people watch this, but if you're waiting for anything, just bear with us.
I'm waiting.
I didn't want to be hacking and coughing all over everything, so we left all that shit alone.
Adds texture.
Well,
You can cough all over my stuff. Just get it good.
no, I ain't getting you sick, buddy.
I'm just kidding. That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Coughing all over stuff and
It's not. No. I tend to get I'll start having a little fit and I get super mad. So I just want it to be done,
What, you're a cranky sick guy, you mean?
Probably, yeah.
So Chan has to put up with you?
Yeah.
Poor
Poor
Chan.
Chan. I know.
Better buy her some flowers or something.
Yeah.
She probably doesn't like flowers, so buy her something else.
She likes flowers.
She does?
Yeah.
So maybe she'd take a bouquet of I don't know, toys or something.
Yeah.
Nicer.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm getting hyped for her birthday, so
That's right. It's coming soon.
it's coming up.
Oh,
So yeah. How you doing?
As for me, I took a lot of Brian's advice.
Be careful.
And I went in on the collection spring cleaning this weekend. So I actually did what I said. I actually followed through for once, and I didn't procrastinate. Saturday, me and the wife got up, and we started cranking away at the upstairs, the other rooms that we have. And I got probably about 60% of everything that I had up there on the other side of the house. So the attic that I wasn't using, that I said I had to go through a closet to get to, we did that. So
Nice.
I have basically like a legit like storage space. I might even empty out the other side or at least half of it and put it there because there at least I can walk in. I do have to duck in under some
Pipes,
not pipes, but more like
trees,
headers and stuff like that, like
Like beams.
beams and headers and shit.
beams.
And I could walk in there and stand up, and I have like a section for each like whatever I collect. So I have a hot toy section, a Mezco section, a Mythic Legion, the Transformer section, and like a miscellaneous section
Now
like
this isn't
together.
this isn't for display. This is for
No storage, like just my empty boxes and stuff like that. But at least it's accessible where I can go in there and I don't have to pull it all out to get to anything. Like I could actually just go into one little pile and look, as opposed to taking it all out of the one side that I had it in prior, or have it all jumbled in a room. I had a spare bedroom in the back, and Gary, you could probably attest to it, and Dom too, because you've both been in that room. You can't even barely walk in that, right?
Yeah, it was pretty
Mhm.
full.
Yeah. So it's empty. It's
So
not empty, but it's almost empty now.
gotcha. So the room going into that room, so you have two rooms, like that first room that you go in, and then the back room, right?
The hallway, you mean, like the big hallway?
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
That's completely empty aside from some of Chloe's stuff.
Gotcha.
But do you remember how that looked too?
That had boxes all over the place too. Yeah.
It was just a storage mess, like cardboard boxes and toys everywhere you can look. But it wasn't just my stuff too. We had like the family Christmas stuff there, my daughter's stuff. From transitioning from a baby to a toddler, all that stuff that my wife wanted to save, and or uh, you know, keep or give away to other people, but just store upstairs, and it was all in that room. So now it's we could probably all sit on the floor in there and like play catch. It's like it's dead empty. So kudos to my wife for helping me out with that because I couldn't have done that myself. There was a few times where I wanted to stop. I was like, "Oh, this is enough for today. Can we do more another weekend?" She's like,
It's like building toffs. You're like, we're good. You're like,
yeah, exactly, Gary. Like when you were here, I'm like, "Oh, we did a detox. All right, I know how to do it now. We could stop." You're like, "No, we're doing all of them." I'm like, "All right." Fuck.
So we tease Brian all the time about his magical crawl space filled of treasures, mysteries. But did you discover anything in the cleaning process you forgot you had kind of tucked away that wasn't out on display? Maybe.
That's a good question. I found stuff that I was looking for that I couldn't get to, but not really anything that I didn't know I had. There was a few things that I kind of like looked at and was like, all right, I don't know why I bought this, but put it in the pile. I left it in that room. Anything that I thought maybe I would get rid of, I left in that room as opposed to putting it in the attic for storage because then I'll never see it again.
Right.
So I just left all of for example, like a lot of my 112 Star Wars stuff, I left it all in there because I don't have it on display. I have maybe about 30 figures on display, but I have like probably like another few dozen of them just sitting in boxes. So I have to decide whether I'm ever going to put those out or I'm just going to get rid of them.
All right. Tell me what is it? All the sequel characters?
Well, like remember all that SA Figure Art stuff I bought? So let's say I have 60 of those figures. I only have like 10 of them out.
Oh, but so is it like New Hope stuff, Ray stuff?
Whatever they have, I have every figure that they dropped. I have.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and then with troopers, I have doubles, and triples, and droids and shit like that. So,
Understood.
but that's where I'm getting to what I was telling you guys before the show, where it gets a little scary. So, now that I made all that room, I'm like, I don't have to stop buying stuff. I got plenty of fucking room now. Now I can buy more. So that's why I decided to. Not that I decided to, but I wanted to see. I moved my desk to the middle of the room just to see how much room I would have on the other wall to see what kind of display options I could have. So, I was looking into, I did some measuring and looking into some options that I might be able to go with. But right now I'm still my back's against the wall with that stuff because I don't think I want another Billy or I want any more Detox. So I'm trying to look for something offset, something that doesn't exist because there's only so much I can get up the stairs. So like those cases that Chris got are fucking beautiful. I wish I could have one of those things, but I could never get that up the stairs. It's not feasible. So I'm just trying to look for like maybe something in that manner, another glass display, but it doesn't exist yet. So I'm just gonna wait and be patient.
You got to be careful with stuff that heavy too. Like sometimes like second stories are not weighted for that kind of, or not rated for that kind of weight. You have to be careful. So it's a FYI to people.
Yeah. So I mean, it was fun. It was relieving. Like we talked about this last week. It felt nice, to get everything in order, get everything cleaned up. I threw out so much cardboard boxes. You guys were talking about that last week. And when I say at least 20 to 30 boxes were folded up and taken outside. You don't realize how much bullshit trash you keep around this stuff too. Like it's a lot of plastic, the Mythic Legions come with these fucking plastic things. I must have threw away 100 of these things this weekend. I ordered some of the Ziplocs that Dom has, the hard Ziplocs. They look like this. They're a little more stiff, so they don't, And I showed you guys I bought like a little case to, all my weapons for Mythic Legions, but I wound up having too many weapons, so the case isn't enough. I have to get a bigger one. But again, it was nice, and now I could at least see what direction I want to go in with certain things. Being that I'm limited to my space, but at the same time, I still have space, so I just got to make the best use of it.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think that's it for me this weekend. I didn't do much else. I painted a Mythic Legion figure. I shared it with you guys in the Mythic chat. That was fun. I'm just building my orc army.
And you sculpted something on that orc's face, right?
Well, actually, I bought the head like that.
Oh, okay.
So I had bought the head used from somebody, and it was already painted. And what I did was I put it in some nail polish remover, took all their paint off, and I painted it myself. Because you know how that Chronal figure comes with that blue chest. We don't have blue orcs, so I said, I'll make this guy blue. I did it 2 weeks ago with a purple one. Just got to match the paint, and I went from there. So
it's awesome.
Yeah. So everybody's good.
We're all good.
We're ready to start talking toys or talking nonsense.
Yeah.
We have a topic that we were speaking about earlier. I'm going to pull it up real quick. It's actually Dominic's topic. And I'm going to read it, Dom, if you don't mind. And then you speak on it, all right? So have you ever found yourself deciding on which figure to buy when you have...
Sorry, yeah.
All right.
It's a mistypo. Yeah. Nope.
Deciding on which figure to buy when you have a limited amount of money to spend and determining what's more important. Hard to find figure that secondary marketplace will complete a collection. All right. So basically, do you spend more money? Do you spend more money to buy something that's gonna fill that spot in your collection that's missing that might cost more money? You're paying the late tax on, or would you rather just buy something that's more readily available at the time and accessible, as opposed to something a little more harder to get? So do you save your money to get that harder figure, or do you just keep going, depending on your week to week or however your finances are, and just buy whatever? No, but
Yeah, like I just any type of purchasing decisions that you guys have been making, anything that you notice that you find, any quirkiness that you see you doing, and like, well, why the hell am I doing this? Or, but one in particular I saw that I was watching a video, and I saw this guy in that type of situation where he's thinking of buying a figure that he wants, which is an item that he's been collecting for a while, a line that he's been collecting for a while, but it's a figure that he missed out on because of the rarity of it, and it's obviously up in price due to the secondary market. And he had, say, $50 to spend, and he could buy that figure for $50, or he saw a new figure just that recently came out on a collection or a wave, a line that he necessarily doesn't collect, but he thinks it's cool, but it's on discount for $50. And he opted. The funny thing is that he opted to buy the discounted figure that he necessarily doesn't collect. Like he hit the line that he doesn't collect. So it's like a kind of a new rabbit hole that he went down. He spent the $50 on that rather than the $50 on the one figure that he wanted to complete his collection that he's been collecting, the line that he's been collecting for over 10 years. So it's kind of like, to me, I was wondering if you guys ever felt yourself in that same situation and said, you know what, I'd rather spend this $100 or $200, whatever the case may be, on a figure that's a new line, but at the end of the day, I'm getting a good value for it because it's on discount, rather than spending that $200 or $100 on an over secondary market figure that you in a current line that you collect, but it's going to hurt because you're paying that secondary market price.
Right. So Dom, I don't know specifically about that situation, but the scenario is interesting to me because it's always it's hard to pass up a good deal, right? So I could see that weighing on the guy's mind. And me personally, I think, I don't know if I've ever really had to make this choice, but I will say if you stumble across that item that has been missing from your collection, if you stumble across it in person, I'm more likely to get it as opposed to hunting it down for the aftermarket price, right? But if it's right there in front of me, it's like, well, here it is. It's do or die. You get busy living, you get busy dying, and it's right here. It was meant to be. Like, it's kismet. It's like, boom, there it is. Bam, get it. Kind of thing.
That's an interesting perspective. I think, you guys know I don't complete teams necessarily or complete lines. So it's very rare that I have a piece or a character that's missing. But to your point, Dom, I can sometimes start to overthink it. So it could be something I've wanted that I missed. And then it might be, at the secondary price that's still somewhat reasonable. But I'll start doing the math and comparing, okay, do I pay, X for this? Or just like you said, could I put it towards something else? Or I start trying to analyze the fun to purchase ratio. And then I just don't make a decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Happens. It's like,
and the funny thing is that this kind of popped into my head because for a new collector, especially a collector coming in to the game now, and for example, and wants to start buying mezcos, and certain mezcos are sold out, and if you want to complete your DC comic version line, it's going to be hard for you to go back and pick up some of those older figures that are demanding $200 plus dollars. So it's like I can see where sometimes you have that debate on whether you want to drop, for an $85 figure, do I want to drop $250 to get that one figure? Granted, that's what it's going for on the secondary market, or use that $250 and buy something more current, or even things that are more on discount, and make your money, I guess, go a little further with your purchase.
So like Dom, like I'm thinking about everything you just said, right? And there's been times that I've done exactly what you said, where I jumped in on a figure, let's say that, retail was 200, and I might have spent double or even more than that on the figure because now it's 3 years out. They're not making it anymore. I'm staring at it every day, and it's going to make a difference, like in my collection or just in my mind, because sometimes your mind, like you get that itch
Mhm.
I know everybody here has done it where like you have a certain figure in mind or you're thinking about it and you're constantly looking for it like on your search bar on eBay and oh man, there it is. Oh, but you know, I'm gonna wait. And sometimes waiting it benefits you in the fact where like you know it's 400, but then all of a sudden somebody pops one up for 300, and you're the first one to find it. That's when you know what, you buy it. I'm gonna fucking buy it, right?
Mhm.
So, but then again, you know, that could happen, but then they can reissue it. They can come out with a better version, and then essentially you lost out on your money. But
Yeah.
also, it works both ways. You know, that was a year ago. You paid 300 for the figure, and now it's 500, and they never remade it. So you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you're taking a chance. But I think that you know there's a saying out there. I don't really know how it goes, but if you feel that it's worth it, buy it. Like if it's worth
Yeah.
it for you, fucking buy it. If you have the extra money, if you work some overtime, and it's something that you want, and it's not necessarily worth that amount. Like let's say in the in the collector world, hey, you know what? That was $150. Why are you paying $400 for it? Well, you know what? I want it today because I don't know if I'm gonna be collecting in a year from now. And I do that a lot with the
That's
hot.
blasphemy.
Yeah, well, like you know, like some people like to poke and prod at Sideshow, right? Um, Sideshow comes out with figures, you know, sometimes before Hot Toys does, and not necessarily it's always up to par, you know, or people you know like to say that, hey, you know, wait for Hot Toys to do it, and that's cool. You know, me and Dom have had that conversation before,
Mhm.
and Dom, like I would say, probably about like 60% of the time, you're right, but not always.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's been times where I've been like, "Yo, Dom, I really want that. I really want that figure." For example, I'll give you an example when Dom was right that Sideshow Cody and don't wait. You know, Hot Toys will do it. I've had it for almost a year and a half, 2 years.
Mhm.
Hot Toys is doing it, but is that out yet?
And I agree with you there, Dave,
You
because
know,
we've had that discussion,
right?
and I know you're absolutely right because there one time when I went over your house and I saw the other the bounty hunters that you got from Sideshow, and the other bounty hunters are not done from Hot Toys yet. But like
Mhm.
when looking at all those bounty hunters there present like in you know in the line that you have them, it's like wow, that's something that you can enjoy. It doesn't have to be hot toy quality, but at the end of the day, you have something to somewhat high quality standard to that have in a display cabinet and enjoy for that time now, because obviously like you said, you're not, you know, we don't know whether we're going to be doing this in the, you know, 5-10 years down the road, you know,
Right.
or interested in that same in that line, or you know, in Star Wars in that sense. But like I understand what you said there, because like when I went to your house that one time when you finally got all the bounty hunters there, and I'm like, you know, when is Hot Toys ever, like I'm probably gonna wait another 8 years for that to happen to get those bounty hunters, and do I really want to wait 8 years when Sideshow has them right there? And then granted, some like they're all of them are very expensive to get now from Sideshow because they're way sold out, but it's just still the point that those are accessible to you to buy at this time, where in the Hot Toys perspective it's not even available for you to buy.
Right.
But
And case in point, when you just said, you know, before, do you buy figures for 20-30 bucks to subsidize that $300 figure that you were gonna buy, right?
yeah.
Like Black Series came out with the bounty hunters too, and at one point I was like, you know what, this is good enough for me, you know. But then I was already halfway in, so I decided to finish it, and I'm glad I did because at the end of the day, they for me they pose a better display than the 112 would.
Yeah.
Well, the 112s are great. They look cool. You know, I have them all with in Jabba's palace, and because of that display, they look fucking awesome. But when you put them next to the 12-inch ones, is no comparing. You know?
Yeah.
Well, let me pose this question to you guys. Do you think knowing the different brands and the different companies and having that name brand recognition and being as knowledgeable in the hobby as we probably are now than maybe 3 or even 3 years ago.
And
Does that affect your thoughts too? To your point, Don, where hey, before
it does,
yeah,
Gary.
right?
It definitely does, because when it comes to Mezco, I know they don't release figures the same figure. They do tend to do sometimes repaint, especially on Batman. They've done thousands of different types of Batman, not the same Batman, but different types of Batman. Same thing with other figures that they've done, but they never re-released or reissued any of what they've done before. And with that, with knowing that and not seeing where they have done a reissue of any type of a figure, I kind of jump on board. Like, I'm willing to spend the extra bucks on that secondary market to catch up.
Well, it's that,
or if a maker, I have no problem doing that. That decision is easy for me, where I would be like, you know what, let me just drop the $200, get the Shadowland Daredevil, and not worry about spending that $200 on something else, because I know that figure is what I want to have it in my collection to complete, and I know there's not going to be a reissue anytime in the near future, or possibly in the future. So,
well, I was thinking a little bit more along the lines of, so to the average person, you look at those bounty hunters that are in 1/6 scale, and your average Star Wars fan might just say, "Wow, that looks really cool." It's like all those characters from Empire Strikes Back. They're not going to know this is Sideshow, this is Hot Toys. You know what I mean? That's my point.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like to the Mezco.
Definitely.
You might be able to have some Mezco figures that look good, some Marvel Legends stuff that kind of look good, in that 6-inch scale. But as collectors, I think sometimes we know that, well, this is harder to get, or this is, the fancy brand, version of that figure. It's Figure Arts versus Black Series. Not always a guarantee anymore, right? But the import stuff of, Mayfax versus, something from Hasbro. I wonder how much that may sometimes, start to creep into our decision-making process about the, just knowing what's from the more desirable company, I guess, versus just what we would enjoy with it the most, right?
Yeah, well, when it comes to desirable companies, we all favor certain companies in regards to what you like collecting, and
True.
what we prefer collecting, and because of how we display or even play with our toys, and what we're looking for. So, but like, I just feel like, when making a purchasing decision, like I just right now with Hot Toys, like knowing that they've opened the door of reissuing figures, and one of which is that Mark 47 that came out. Like, to me, and even the Bespin Luke is going to be reissued. So it's like, I know that's a company that's going to be reissuing. So if I missed a figure, if there's a figure that I missed, and then it's demanding a $800 price point right now on the secondary market, my purchasing decisions, when I do get that money in my pocket and say, do I want to spend this on this, or spend it on something else that I can get for a retail value or even discount, I'd be like, you know what, I'm not going to spend that $800 on that right now, because I know eventually down the road, Hot Toys might reissue it, and I'll save some pennies just for waiting. That's kind of like how I'm going about thinking these days in regards to toy lines that I've been collecting, and seeing who tends to reissue, and and I know Brian's going to say, everybody reissues, which is, coming down to the fact that they are, it's I haven't seen any other, vendors who do keep just, one time only, and that's it. So there's only a few out there. So,
well, there are some that aren't. I mean, we haven't seen any reissues from Mezco, right?
Yeah, and like Storm Collectibles, they don't reissue either. Like they've done other versions of your Scorpion and your Sub-Zero, but they never reissued the originals. And at the end of the day, it's like, you missed that boat, you're gonna have to pay that extra penny to buy it.
Dom, I have a question for you. Like, I know you're a completionist when it comes to Mezco, or does Mezco? I don't know the answer. That's why I'm asking you. Do they number their stuff at all?
No,
They don't.
but
right?
they do have a count. They do have a count. It's not like I wouldn't say it's rarely published. Like available. I know it's published, but I know certain people have the count of how many figures they made of a certain figure. Like, are they numbered? No, they're not. But there is a count. Like,
I was gonna say
Like
you
even
can
like
go,
Hot Toys. Hot Toys is the same thing. Like Hot Toys, there's a count, but they're not each individually numbered.
What you gonna say,
You know?
JD?
I was just gonna say you can go on their website and see all the figures they've released. I didn't realize you were saying about how many of each figure that they
Yeah,
made.
like you. Yeah, like there's a count. Like I know there's a quantity count, and saying if you ever want to look at how many Gomez's Street
Yeah.
Gomez's they produced, they can there's a total.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You
You can tell that too. From the boxes sometimes do the math.
Yes, yeah. So it's like there's a count, but there's no numbering system like a statue where there's 5,000 statues made, and when you buy that one statue, it's 253 out of 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the box, it's on the fucking statue, on the bottom of the statue, and everything else. It's not like that, but it just found me interesting because there's things that I'm going back for that I'm my decision my purchasing decisions are kind of getting filtered in regards to analyzing it a little bit further, making sure that I'm spending my money in the right places rather than just willy-nilly just throwing dollars here and there and not understanding the consequences.
Yeah, I agree, Dom. And the five of us here, I mean, we've kind of been through some growing pains as collectors. I'm kind of curious to see what some people newer to the game, what their opinion would be in that regard. I mean, I can only think back to the last stuff that I really chased down was, I want to say like what year is this? God, I've been doing this for longer than I thought. 2013, I'll say. Maybe 2014. Chasing down older MPs like MP.109.
Yeah.
MP Grimlock. I was like, eventually I'm gonna wait, and well, not wait, but it's like, all right, today's the day. I'm gonna go fucking hunt this thing down. And that's it. And easily I could have. Back then, what was I still collecting back then? I don't know. I guess I could have gone down the rabbit hole of doing some Black Series type stuff. But instead, I made the choice. I'm like, no, I'm gonna get that MP.09.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need it to complete a collection. God, what was my mindset then? It was like, well, Brian, you know what? If you're going to be a Transformers collector and you're going to collect Masterpiece, I don't know. They had a picture of him. Do you remember when he dropped? Like, they had a picture of him shaking hands at MP10. I was like, well, I need that. I need to have that.
I remember that.
I remember that. It's there's definitely elements that work against you.
He was the successor. I was like, well, if I'm collecting primes, I guess I got to get all the primes. I don't know. All right, fine, I'll get it. No, I don't know. And then I kept watching reviews, and it's like, and the reviews get you because it's like right there in your face, and they're playing with it, and right in front of you. I'm like, I wanna play with that. I want to play with that right now.
Yeah, that's an element in and of itself when you're watching reviews.
God, those reviews.
And all of a sudden, you're just those reviews tend to kill you. Like I can tell, like if you're getting into it and you're watching review, just try not to get caught up in the hype and all of a sudden make a decision on a review or of a particular figure and buy it because of that. You can get definitely going down a hole that you. Yeah.
And like it definitely could get that. When you first start, Dom, it's hard not to. Like you're watching the viewer and they're excited, and you wait to the end. They're like, do they recommend it?
Yeah,
they do. They said it's great. I gotta buy it. That's it. These days I'm like, fuck that bullshit. I want to check it out myself.
Yeah, like I've actually I've actually gone away. Like the reviews are for me to whether I just want to see what the figure's all about. Like, I've kind of made reviews not part of my purchasing decision. My purchasing decision is more of like, is this going to be out here for the long game? Like, is it going to be sold out real quick? And if it does get sold out real quick and I don't have the money, will it ever get reissued? If it does, then I'm not going to jump on it right away or pay secondary market for it. Or, can I just, if I really do want it really bad, I'll just buy it right away, right now in my collection. But like, it's like my purchasing decisions come to the down, like, on a cash flow basis. Do I want to sprawl for it now, or do I wait and see if it can come discount later on and catch it on sale for Black Friday, or even, use a coupon down the road and be able to get it for a little bit less than retail because it's still out in the market. It's not sold out, and people are trying, sellers or, retailers are trying to get it off the shelf and shit like that.
Man,
Or, out the warehouse and stuff like that.
I'm kind of pissed at myself for not buying toys for the reasons that I used to. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to really think about this now. Like, watching these reviews, like someone's reviewing a Transformer and, it's a third party maybe, and it transforms in a way you never seen before. And you're like, I want to move that piece in that way. I want to move that. I want to touch it. It's like, now damn, it's kind of a shame. It's like, yeah, no, I just need as a spot right there. That's where it goes.
There's a spot there, and if not, I'll make room for one.
Yeah, let me pose this to you guys. Like, and have you ever so I'm a big advocate of like a place for things like in the house, right? So even before when I was single, before I was married, and now fortunately my wife kind of has the same vision. Like, we don't buy something for the house if we don't know where it's going to go, or it's replacing, something else that we're going to sell or donate or get rid of. But in my collection, sometimes if I'm thinking about something, I'll try to think about where it's going to go and like almost imagine it in that spot and see if I still want it. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Not with me, no.
No.
Not at all. Like,
Yeah,
I wanted to buy it. It doesn't matter if it stays in a box
Yeah.
for 4 months. It's mine. I'm keeping
We'll
Really?
find a space for it.
it. Yeah.
I'm with like JD. Yeah, JD's like, the space will come.
Yeah.
But the figure
But-
won't.
but-
It's like it's that point of view.
But
But
Gary, there
I
is
just
times I do see something and I'm like, that would look really good with this, and I
Uh-huh.
need to get that because it fits in that certain section.
Yeah.
That would look good with with this figure, or sometimes I like what I did this weekend is I moved some things around too, and when you start moving things around, you realize, hey, you know what? I could buy that figure now.
Right. Right.
Like it makes sense to.
yeah, because I and the funny thing is, I even had thought back at the time when I was debating on getting into Storm Collectibles, and I saw the ninjas, I saw the Sub-Zero and the Scorpion, and I remember it just sold out, and market prices were, secondary market prices were creeping up a little bit, and I know they were originally 55, and now they're going for like 75, 80. I'm like, 80 is too much. Forget it. I'm sure they'll reissue it, blah blah blah, and it just never happened, and I'm like, now it's like $200 for that figure, and I'm like, I should have fucking bought it for $80 when I had a chance. But that when I made that decision at that time, I used that $80 and I purchased like probably a Mezco.
Yeah.
But it was that point where I felt like, you know what, I'll buy a retail toy that for a retail price, get it for what it is, and then instead of jumping into buying something new and paying a secondary market for it.
Do you take, or it's really any of you guys, do you take like comfort knowing that like just because you mentioned Storm Collectibles, those original ninjas are not of great quality. They have like
again, understood.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So does that like make you realize like there's no way in hell I'd spend $200 for a $50 figure, knowing that it's going to have all these issues, quite potentially based on the majority of the QC stuff, right?
It definitely comes into play, Gary. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm more like right at this point, when at 80, I probably would have jumped on it if I found one for 80. But like the thing is now at 200, knowing that they have issues, I would never, I'm not even going to deal or put out that cash for that. I'd rather get the newer version, and with their increasing quality control and everything, and how great their figures are getting. I'd rather spend my money on that rather than spending $200 on a figure that is their old figure. And why would I have, if the fucking legs are falling off or can't stand and shit like that, it's not worth it to me.
Right.
But like I said, like it's just and then that's where friends help you out. People who have gotten the toy or have the toy, can give you that critique and that kind of feedback, that true feedback, and not have any biases in where they're saying, hey, this figure is awesome because and the legs are definitely falling off, or whatever the case may be.
So in other words, you're lucky you have us to tell us, Dom, don't spend your fucking money on that piece of shit toy.
Exactly. You need your friends to tell you, that sometimes you shouldn't be spending your money on that type of figure. Or
spend your money
if
on
you
us.
didn't have it.
Good.
Yeah.
Dom.
Got me,
spend
Dom.
your money on that stuff.
AD, how about you, bro? How you feel about this?
I mean, so I was sitting here thinking about it, and I'm like, I know in the past I said like, 1/6 scale, you can't play with them, which through time I learned differently, because we do have some 6 scale stuff here. You can't mess with it like you can a Black Series, but I think ultimately the decision making comes down to what is more readily available. Like, you know what I mean? 12 scale stuff is like, that's kind of the streamline now, you know what I mean? But thinking about it and where I'm sitting, what I've been doing lately, I don't have to wait for Sideshow. I don't have to wait for Hot Toys to make characters, you know what I mean? Like between pretty much Black Series. And I mean, I'm talking specifically Star Wars here at the moment. Like, I don't have to wait for other companies to make them. And if I have to wait for Hasbro to do it, there are plenty other choices out there in the figures that they've already offered that I can pretty much make what I want. And between Marvel Legends, you know what I mean?
And JD, you're talking about customizing and getting into the customization of other figures and making the figure that you want.
Yeah, and
or
I mean,
the character that you want.
I see a lot of guys that do 6th scale custom heads, and they're tailoring outfits and all that stuff for these characters that aren't gonna ever be made. And it's just it's a lot more affordable at the smaller scale, you know what I mean? For me, I can buy more and make more, and you know what I mean? If I want to build a figure, you know what I mean, and swap every head on that troop, I can. I have that option. If I have 30 of this figure, I can swap those heads 30 times and have 30 different troopers.
Right.
Or, alien figures that they're not making. I either find somebody that's already sculpted the head and I buy a cast from them, or I do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, JD, I know you it wasn't, you were doing those customizations and those characters that you were looking for that haven't come out, and you were altering figures way before even Mythic Legions came into picture. Because I know you were doing that with Black Series way past we got involved in Mythic Legions. Yeah. So it's like and I know there's people out there that do that, and but like it's funny because it's like sometimes like people who've gotten into Mythics who haven't done customization necessarily, it's opened their door, it's opened the door for them to even start customizing, not even just Mythics, but other toy lines and other stuff like that. And getting into it, because I see like Mezco people customizing Mezco figures and stuff like that, and getting which is somewhat expensive. Don't get me wrong, but like at the end of the day, it's it's still customizing a figure that may not be out, but you want that particular character, so you customize that figure and make it cool looking and stuff like that. So, but it's like I said, I wish that, I know if I had the time to get in and do it, and I know I'm not making excuses. I can always make time to do it, but I would love to get into that, and I hopefully when I retire early and at the young age of 50, maybe I can just enjoy that realm of possibilities and get into customizing some of the figures that I have and using and just butchering whatever figures I currently have in my possession and doing that as myself. So
Dude, you could do it now, Dom. Just
I know. I'm not saying
grab a box of them, sit at your dining room table one weekend when the wife's not home.
I've done it with Mythic where like Gary, I swapped out pieces and stuff like that, which is always cool, and you can create cool fact. But I always as I keep them out for a little while and then I put them away, I tend to pop those figures back to where they were supposed to go, and then I've never actually kept any of the figures that I popped off and made different figures. Like I can't wait until they do the builders, so I can buy figures for $22, and get that ability to do that, so I can just create figures and not have to worry and popping them back, and putting them back together the original way they were, because at the end of the day, I have those builders there to do that, But right now, it's like that option hasn't gotten out for us yet, so.
So that poses like another question I have. So like exactly like when you talk about the builders with Mythic Legions, right? We're waiting for them to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting, right? So they say hopefully by the end of the summer, they're in production, that they'll be readily available. But what about that guy who just got in? Who we're talking about this guy right now, because it's the same subject, where he's jumping into the line now. And he wants a few figures, but he can't get them. And that some of them are builder figures, like like the Orc one, for example. You can't find them for less than $100.
Yeah,
They're $100, but when they released at $25, the $25, 28, I think 28 was the Coliseum Orc was $28 when it came out. Like, why not wait? But that dude doesn't want to wait because 6 months down the line, he might be into something else.
Yeah, but there's more, I think, more lines and product competing for money in this non-essential type of hobby. Probably, we've said how many conversations in the last 2 years about how many new lines there are, and companies making the same style figures, meaning how many make Marvel, right, or DC or whatever else it is. So I think you're right. I think if you don't want to wait, someone else is gonna take that money. It's gonna go someplace else.
Right. I mean, we all came from where, Gary? We all came from what? Transformer collectors necessarily, right?
Yeah, I'd say probably predominantly. Yep.
What started driving us towards other things was the fact that nothing was really coming out. Things were coming out, but they were getting drips and drabs in the Masterpiece line, right?
I think it was a combination of that, but I also think maybe more so than I think that came after. I think it was the repetitive nature of the same character being made by two and three companies. Which I really personally feel that is what sparked many people to look outside of just the robots, because it just got a little tiring of seeing this character versus being made by 2 or 3 different ways. So.
Right. And it also made you think like, hey, you know what? I'll wait because this company's doing this one, this one's doing that one. Let me just wait until the end, and maybe I'll get one on the cheap, whichever one I feels better. Like they did with when the Springers started coming out, or like 7 different companies started doing Springer.
Even if it's even the other way around, Dave, it's like you can wait, and then if you figure out which one you want to go with based on reviews and feedback from or looks that you think is going to appeal more to you, and then eventually if that one particular one does go up in price a little bit, at least you're saving yourself money by just buying. Even if it goes up a little bit, you buy it then, and then instead of buying two or 3 different versions of it, what I'm saying, and wasting your money on other figures that would just not cut out for you at the time because you just found out the quality sucks, or it just doesn't look the way you want to look, the way that you were going with. And I know it's hard to say when you were in the moment because you don't things were altering in regards to the style of MP, where MP was going, and all the shit that was going through. But like it's now at this time where you're just gonna that waiting game does apply because I'll just wait and see what happens, and I'll just buy it and pick it up. If it is a little bit more, at least I didn't have to buy 3 versions of it. You know what I'm saying? From 3 different companies.
What do you guys say about all those people right now that are contemplating getting into the Masterpiece and really like Decepticons and really want a set of Insecticons, and the Insecticons are going for like upwards of like $1,200, $1,500 for the set?
It's crazy.
Hit me up. I got your back.
Right. But I mean, like, really, like, what do you do? Like, like, what do you tell somebody like that? Like, I personally think that they're getting redone. Doesn't mean I'm going to sell my set tomorrow, though. But but I think
I agree. But it's the same question that you can even say to any other line. Like, say for example, like Marvel Legends. Like, what do you tell that collector who's trying to get the X-Men, and he wants the Rogue, but at the end of the day, are they going to make Rogue again, or is he going to bail out to buy $100 and spend $100 for that Rogue? It's like, are they going to reissue that Rogue? To me, I think they are. Like, I definitely
they'll do a different version. They'll do a different version, is what they'll do.
They'll do a better version.
Yeah,
yep. Probably. That's what I'm saying.
Like, they don't ever do that.
Haven't they redoing everything recently?
Well, like when it comes to Wolverine, yeah, like they fucking redid Wolverine 100 times over. Even Tiger Stripe Wolverine is like 3 versions of them that you can get them, but they're all altered differently in regards to head sculpt and what he comes with. But you can if you missed out on the original one that came with the Build-A-Figure, the Build-A-Figure set, yeah, you can get them in the 3-pack with this person, or the 3-pack with this person. So I feel like they're going to do that with Rogue eventually down the line, but like it's like, that what I would tell a collector to say, you don't spend $100 for that figure. Just see, they'll definitely do a 3-pack, but she'll come with an alternate head or some type of effect that the original one didn't come with.
I don't know, man. I think they should go for it and get it. The only reason why I say that is there is a good complement of other figures for the team that she goes on, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a glaring hole for that collection if you have all the rest. So I say do it.
And
it's not
the funny
a
thing
bad
is
her eyes are a little
situation,
screwy, but I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
Send it to me. I'll fix it.
There you go. Dave,
But
to your point about Masterpiece, I don't recommend anyone get into this game. I mean, seriously, don't. I mean, the official stuff is falling apart and it's very expensive. And the stuff that you need to complete your collection is just insanely overpriced at this point. So, I mean, I wouldn't do it. Dude, go Earthrise and just fucking
go Earth. Yeah,
there are far better toys. There are far more better toys for the like fractions of the cost.
Yeah, or even do Legends. I would say to the people and just say,
that's a good idea, Dom.
Don't waste your money on the hundreds of dollars because there's going to be some type of disappointment at the end of the day. But with the Legends, you're not putting too much into it. You're getting a good look. You're gonna get that nostalgia just looking at them. So who cares if they're like whatever 2-3 inches tall? But I like sometimes when I look at those Legends, I wish those were available when we started in the beginning of this game, because then I probably would have kept with those Legends than going.
I don't think I don't think that's the case at all. I'm going to disagree with that. I think if it were 3 years ago, Legends would be laughable, just like they were when the very first companies were doing it. They were viewed as like a cheaper, like toy type thing, and not really something I think people viewed as a serious collection now. Like, I know they've come a long way, but I don't think in retrospect people would have been as interested in them without the gateway from MP scale for that.
Mm-hmm.
And want to retune my previous statement and say if you're going completionist, don't do it. But
Yeah.
So
if there's
Brian,
certain
They'll never
characters that you like,
complete. They'll never complete
Yeah.
the line. That's why.
But see,
we've been at it for how long? We're not
Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep making the same characters over and over again.
But see, like I guess now I feel like I know there's so many more like options for different things. So I think that's what to your point, Dave. You asked the person, what is it that you like to do? Do you like to just like look at your collection? Do you like to play with it? Manipulate it and repose it? Because for the Marvel stuff, there's some statues out there, that you could collect probably for a similar. I don't know if it's this exact similar price, but you know what I mean, that you have other options for display that might look even better if you don't want to repose, right, your figures like you would do like a Legends or a Black Series for stuff.
Oh, they have the selects. Like the selects, some of them look better than the legends, but they don't move as well. Right?
Well, and what scale? I'm not an expert, but I know there's some statues. Is it
Like the
Iron Factory? But there's the ones that did the Dungeons and Dragons figures in that like one.
yeah. There's
what you read
there's
scale.
Comic-
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
There's artifacts. There's artifact statues that you can pick up for Star Wars and for Marvel that they're doing. I think they actually did a set of the X-Force and like the X-Men, the Jim Lee X-Men, where they have them all, but they're just standing in one pose. Like there's no. You got the look. It's there, but it's like it's not like any type of what you're looking for in Marvel Legend if you're looking to pose your figures and stuff like that.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think that there's
And they're like and you're right, Gary. They're like $40. Like I think they did 2 each. I think they had like they packaged them 2 characters each, and they were like going for $85, $75, like sometimes $100 depending on the character. But they had packed them 2 each, and they're a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you're not paying. Like I don't know whether they sold out or anything like that, but I'm sure if they're still available and you're thinking of should I get a Rogue or just looking for the look, and let me get these cheaper statues, and I can just put them up and have the whole team there looking as well as that if you put a Marvel Legends series and just keep it there in one pose.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's options out there, Gary. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
But and you're right, Gary. I think Transformers Legends is taking off because the fact that it's just hard to go back and get the masterpiece and complete a collection like that, because I think that door is opened up with Legends, and people are going, and that's why it's so popular now. I agree with you. Where in the past it might have not took off so much because those masterpieces were coming out once every 2 months, popping up in here and there.
well, people love to collect stuff, man, and
Yes.
they're characters that people love. So I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's always that fuel piece. So, coming back to your original question, Dom, one of the things that I know I'm guilty of that, like, I think Dave, you're probably better at it, of not falling into this trap. But it's buying something that's inexpensive just to get something new, right? Something that's fun, or either it's a brick and mortar purchase for that initial excitement, or getting a package from Amazon or something like that. And I know there's plenty of times where, hey, this thing you bought for $20, multiply that by 3, there's your $60 that you could have put towards a mythic or whatever, a more expensive, like secondary market price character. But simply trying to get something new,
I just thought about it though. Like, if you were to collect masterpiece, like that would be an ultimate hunt to get certain things. I mean, the price aside,
no,
like,
not so much, Brian.
price
There's
aside,
so many
like,
people
it's like,
dipping out these days.
Yeah.
Of that,
but imagine, I don't know. God, what's his name? He's in the Realm group, but he sells at like ToyCon, and he sells that.
Nick.
He sells Jonathan, I think is his name. He sells those vintage Japanese robot stuff, right? Like the stuff we saw on the Toys R Us shelves back then.
Mhm.
And like, could you imagine seeing a table of vintage third party in like what, 15 years? God, 15 years. How old am I gonna be? Am I gonna be at a toy show? Right? Kind of thing. Oh, I don't even want to think about that.
God, I don't want to think about being 15 years from now. Holy crap!
Well, we're not going to have a BTM reunion at ToyCon in 15 years. What the fuck's the point of this then?
But
What,
could you?
I'm fucking leaving.
You said reunion. That means that it's going to break up and then have to come back together.
I don't know. Could you imagine though, like seeing like vintage fucking third party on a at a table? Like that would be wild stuff. That would be freaking wild.
Well, you can put some of those as vintage right now, like, so like
Yeah.
if you're looking at like, some of those older fan toys figures, you can definitely put Quake Wave as a vintage or,
Speaking of which, I saw Quake Wave at that toy show last Sunday.
Yeah. So I agree. It's definitely going to be available. Like Dave said, there's going to be people coming out, people coming in, and hopefully you catch it where more people are coming out and as they're coming in, and you can pick up or snag some of those older figures on the cheap, or as people are letting them go and they want to get them out of their house or out of their site, they you can pick them up and get a good old vintage figure, third party masterpiece for not as much as you would typically get it if you went on eBay or other sources. But
Well, it's like with everything. Like you remember, what was the name of that Jetfire that people were hunting for? Chronos. Remember that thing?
Yeah.
You
Yep,
remember
yep.
that thing was $400 or $500 at one point, and now people $40-$50. You want one?
Dust posted a retro realm this weekend, and it was the guys talking about the first TFCon, and I think it was like just traded like that black repaint of that crazy Ironhide figure for a Chronos or something like that. I was like, wow.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff back then.
Just that being that black repaint. You remember that?
It was
Who
an
made that?
exclusive.
It was
I
Fan
don't know.
Project or something. I forget.
No, it was some garbage.
Some offset company.
It's Voodoo.
Voodoo Toys. That's what it was. Yep.
Voodoo Toys. Yep.
And then just
But
what would you pay for that now? $10? Like,
yeah, I know.
I'm sure you could get a little bit more than that, but $10. Yeah. I'll take it for $10.
It's the only black masterpiece scale Ironhide we ever got, wasn't it?
I'll give you $5.
Yeah. You give me $5?
Yeah, 5 on it. Yeah, 5 on it.
Yeah, I agree. But then, you just imagine if you even kept it, for certain figures, even since I've been in, in the beginning, and I've kept certain figures like Hercules. I've kept Hercules because it's a part of my collecting history. I just can't get rid of.
Hercules, the TV show?
No, Hercules, the Devastator Hercules.
Oh, okay, my bad.
That thing was the hit on scene, and it was it was the thing that the Devastator to have at the time, and that was kind of the introduction to the third party and in regards to masterpiece level at that time. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh, I gotta have it, and I bought it, and it's to this day it's very hard for me to let it go because it just is, it identifies when I look at it that time of my collecting, and it just it's a piece of my history, and I just want to keep it. And
hey Dom,
other figures, don't get me wrong. What?
Take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Take a picture.
Take a picture, bro. Get rid of that shit.
You know what? I wish I could apply that to other things in my life, but yes. Dude. Yes. I can
that's
take
what
a picture.
I thought about this weekend when I was clearing out the house. I was like, all right, I want this. And that's why I said I'll keep it in this room, because if I put it in the attic, it'll sit there until God knows how long, And then, 10 years from now, I'll be like, oh, I could have sold this in 2020 when people were actually collecting these, as opposed to now, nobody's buying them anymore,
Yeah, but I'm not, if I agree, there's some loss there, but I'm not interested in I don't care. I don't care what I lost or what
about the toys and
yeah, it's just all about the toys and just the way I enjoyed it at the time, and I'll keep it even if I if I want to get rid of it and somebody's looking to buy it for $100, I'll still keep it because it's just worth more to me
Well,
in that regards. But
you bring up something that Brian actually touched base on before, which is like we were talking about hunting down masterpiece toys. Do you remember what that was like when you used to be able to,
oh yeah,
hunt and go on eBay, or when you finally found out about the Facebook groups and oh shit, I can look for this somewhere else. Somebody might be selling it for cheap, as opposed to now where we just click and buy whatever we want. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
a lot different.
Like I don't know. I've I've been in the beginning of fan, like, third party. Like so it was never like a hunt for me, to the point where I was always, I got the Quakeway when it came out. I got, I never went back to get anything. The only time I ever did that was with the Dinobots, because I didn't know which way to go. I didn't know whether I was going to do Fans Toys or Gigapower, and eventually I opted to go Fans Toys. And I know I had to go hunt back for Scoria because it sold out so fast, and that's kind of the one figure that I had to go back and hunt. But then they did like a couple reissues where they did a metallic version, a chrome wrap version, and a more tune accurate version, stuff like that. And then they did eventually they did a like, what is that, the PX version, where they did it more without chrome, not without diecast, I guess. But like, I remember those like certain figures. I remember I went back to hunt because I just didn't know where I was going or what line I was going to get, But yeah, like it was hard, it was definitely, it was more of like, who do I buy from? Because you just didn't know, like, who. Those reputations weren't built at the time. Like, you didn't know whether it was Fans Toys or X-Trans Bots or fucking, Make Toys or fucking Fans Project. It just, it didn't really, like, you really didn't get any type of reputation with them during that time period. Like, as somebody coming in and at the end of the game, you kind of understand those reputations and who's putting out good product out and stuff like that, and quality wise. But then everybody has their faults, everyone has their bloopers, because, as JD can tell you, what was it, Hanzo? Was it Hanzo?
Whatever they called him.
Yeah. Like, Six Shot. So it's like, from Fans Project, everyone had their,
Fans Toys.
Their Fans Toys. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. But like, everyone has their, their step back, as you can go back and listen to our podcasts, like, there's been times where people hit home runs, and all of a sudden, like, take a step back because, God knows what happened. Change factories, or just the design sucked, or QC was horrible, whatever the case may be. But I remember, like, it was just very hard at the beginning to kind of who's the leaders out there, because it constantly changed over time. So, and then scale was changing, and going from Chug to Masterpiece, and restructuring your whole collection. It's crazy. It was a fucking mess. It was like the Wild Wild West of toy collecting.
Well, do you? All right, let's jump off this subject for a bit.
Yeah, let's.
Because we're approaching that 90-minute mark. But first off, I want to Matt Hurd. I'm gonna kick your ass. All right, you don't like my hat, all right? I didn't want to do my hair today. Man. This hat's Matt comfortable.
Hurd. Matt Hurd's been sassy in this chat.
Oh, today. He's getting at me all day about this hat. It's all right. If I ever do meet him, I'm gonna make sure I fucking give him a big hug and rub this hat all over him.
Yeah.
But let's jump off this for a bit. Let's jump off that, but let's instead ask: have you guys ever paid that high tax on something? Can you think of one thing that you did wind up fucking just saying "fuck it"? I'm gonna spend the money on it. I wish that you didn't. Something that you regret. How about that?
Oh, regret.
Ooh. It's the second part of the question.
Where is he?
Spending too much money, A, for it, and then B, regretting that you bought it.
Come here.
Oh, Brian's going to show and tell.
I don't think I've ever regretted.
That's a good one, Brian. That's a good one. I don't regret buying that though.
I mean, I have to say I overspent, but I don't have regret. Wait, can he stand? No. All right, maybe regret a little bit.
After he showed up at Ollie's, I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I overspent. Why? How much did you pay for that thing?
This thing
Yeah.
probably $250.
Oh.
Yeah.
Buddy.
I remember that thing was going. Event one time it was going for
They'll
like
never
300,
reissue this Grimlock. I better get it now while I can. Idiot.
Yeah, I got the Asia exclusive one too. That was what, $200. The Takara. And then they released it in the US
His fist doesn't light up
for
anymore.
$80.
But there's that. That I did. Dave, you added that thing on the regret on the end, and I don't really have.
Well, that's your NJCC table, like
Right.
every year.
It's true.
The land of regret.
But that wasn't stuff that I overspent on. That was
Oh, I
just
gotcha.
stuff that I bought. I mean, I haven't chased down any like super expensive mythics. You talk to me next year when that Unicron drops. But I do have some things here that I did pay the late tax on, and I do not regret them. But Sleep Mode MPO1.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I love this thing. And then the only other one that I can really think of is the MPO9 Rodimus. I did probably spend, I think probably 300 on that, 330 maybe, back when it was scarce and hard to find, and there was that version 2 that had the slight tweaks in it so the panels didn't break off his legs and whatnot, hunting that down. But come back to me. Maybe I'll think of something else. Someone else has to take a turn.
So, yeah, I don't really have anything that I can say I regret paying late tax on. Being in a Final Fantasy kick right now, because I've been playing the demo. I played the demo, but then I off and on I'm playing the original 7, and I started playing 9 again, and I have 8 lined up to play again, the remastered versions. So I originally wanted these figures, these play arts, and I did go hunting some of them on eBay, and they are pretty expensive. Some of them are, can be up in the $500 mark. Luckily, they were re-released like 8 months later. So like all the characters that I wanted, I got them for what they retail for, because retail for them's expensive enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because I mean these things are $150 a pop. So they re-released them, and I can get them straight from them, and I would kind of. So I'll praise that I, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to spend the late tax on these things, and then I love them. Yeah. How's that? I took it.
Where do I begin, Dave? Jesus, like Bespin Luke. Like I paid late tax on a lot of things, so I just it's the name of the game. Especially when you come in, like like with Hot Toys, we came in a little late in regards to Star Wars and some figures that were out there. I can only imagine people coming in now and missing out on some of those Rogue One, especially if Rogue One is one of your, if it's number 2 on your list of fucking best Star Wars movies, you're gonna
but look
have to
at
be shit.
that. What is it? The Death Trooper specialist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it got reissued.
It got reissued.
Yep.
People were just spending $400 on that shit 2 weeks ago.
Now, can a Short Trooper be reissued, dude? Do you think a Short Trooper will be reissued?
They just have to do a different version of it. Because they were different versions of it in the movie. There was the whatever sergeant, captain, or whatever.
The sergeant, the leader. Yep. With the different stripe. Yep.
See,
I agree.
So before I forget, I'm looking at one of my regrets right now, which I refuse to replace. So I never bought the Make Toys Seekers aside from Starscream. So I still have the MP, Skywarp, and Thundercracker, but I remember paying, I think it was like upwards of $350 for the Skywarp, I believe. I think it was
Yeah.
Skywarp. And then literally like a month later, 2 months later, they announced the issue.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck myself. Like for real.
Mm.
But you really can't call it, So that's one regret I do have is spending, and I think I spent close to the same amount on the other one. It was like 2 and change or whatever it was
No.
for the.
I think when the day, don't you remember like at Toy, I was at NJCC, somebody had that MP
The Skywarp
for like
$400 and something,
remember?
600 with the post-it and go, yeah, that's the price right next to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
remember that?
They had
And like
right on the corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
and like what was it? Like literally that after that show, like 3 months later, they reissued it.
Yeah.
Dude, I haggled that
that.
guy that I bought it from. He wanted close to 400 for it, and I haggled him down to 350. And then a month later, I felt like texting him, like, "You son of a bitch, you're probably laughing right now," But you never know, and it's just like with anything, you just don't know. Look at these. I mean, again, not to talk. I know a lot of people who don't collect mythics. We talk about. Unfortunately, it's something I'm passionate about, so I talk about it a lot. But these things are $20, $30 toys. And people are selling them for $150, $200 a pop.
Yeah.
Like months later after they released. It's like, come on, like the want. It's all about the want. If people are gonna buy it, people are gonna sell it, right?
Yep. Definitely.
All right. Well, I think we could wrap up with that, unless you guys want to add anything to episode 108. Filling them holes.
No, I think
Harry,
in
you
the
want to fill
spirit
in hole?
of Jose being in school, I'll just, everyone's aware of my Voltron SOC, journey from 2 years ago. And, but that's for your friends and sharing the hobby with other people can help you out too. Cause either Dave, you've talked me off the ledge a few mythics a few times. I've screenshotted you stuff from eBay and been like, hey, this has kind of sparked my interest. And you're like, no, leave it alone. That's too much, So I think you can help for that in spite of always enabling, or that Voltron, before it got reissued, I was on the fence and I just kept watching it tick upwards and upwards, watching it go from the MSRP to $50 over to $100 over to $500-$600, and then and then I got like what we used to call it, the family price on it.
Fambro
price. Give me the Fambro price,
But then at the end it got reissued anyway. After the fact. So it did on that one. So
and many people were saying, "Oh no, Bandai doesn't reissue. Bandai doesn't reissue." And they fucking reissued. It sold out fast. Don't get me wrong, but they put it out there.
Yep.
Who did we lose? Brian?
Brian,
Brian.
Out because
take a shit.
He does that before we start.
Oh.
With his mic on, guys. By the way,
You hear the splash and everything.
the man grunts. Who's number 2 work for?
Yeah, get that to hell, buddy.
See, look at this. What Ralph put in the chat just now. He never got a Seed Skywarp, but people are asking for $120 for it now. What does that retail for? $30?
It was it was a select. Yeah, it was a Generation Selects. Yeah, Amazon. Yeah, it retail probably for $35-$40 because it was exclusive.
And then if he does 52. So there you go. So now he has it for $120. And he's probably like, should I spend $120 on it? And then 2 months from now, they're either A, gonna reissue it, or B, not, and then it's gonna be $170.
Man, that's some wild shit to think about. Mainline retail stuff going like that. Like,
yeah,
it's just not. That's not part of my world anymore. But I remember when it was. Like,
oh yeah,
I remember when I would chase down do the chunky chasing.
Yeah, those classes. Some of those classes got up, got up in price real fast. So you never knew, like, and you have to sometimes wonder, what, like, especially I know when I went and pick up some of those the chugs that they were going for a little bit more and that I missed out on. It was like, damn it, like, I really needed in my collection that bad to spend that type of money, but
Right.
it happens. It's a decision you have to make and then live with it.
That's right. It's a choice we have to make.
Yep.
All right. I guess we'll wrap on that. You guys good? You're good?
Yeah,
All right.
man.
So,
Do
guys,
outros.
everybody listening, everybody watching, we're here every Tuesday, breaking the mold. Don't forget about the other shows we have on the channel. Of course, Enter the Realm, the flagship show on Mondays, where they review everything coming out. They go over the news. They talk some good talk between them, and it's a pretty good show. I mean, that's where we all stem from, so I always got to say that. ETR Mondays, you have do we have a finger banging Wednesday?
Is it this week?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We got figure banging.
Tomorrow.
Figure banging week.
JD, what are you guys talking about?
Huh?
What's that?
What show are you? What toy are you reviewing tomorrow?
I don't know. Whatever
We can't tell. It's
gets
a
delivered
secret.
from DHL
I always try to catch
tomorrow.
somebody out there, but it never works.
Yeah.
We have the Total Package podcast on Thursday with the fine ladies and the great convo they bring every Thursday. Friday we got Masterpiece Ship Piece Theater, and what am I forgetting? Because Jose does this. I don't do this every week.
The nerds have spoken.
The Nerds Have Spoken. You can't forget about that. The newest podcast on Saturdays. The Nerds Have Spoken. A lot of good guys on there. And you know what? I'm just gonna play that video for anybody that's still watching. There's a video that we don't play that we should be playing more often. Dust put together. Brian, you're a lot faster than this. So cool. So with that said, catch all those shows out there. Catch us here next Tuesday. You guys want to tell everybody where you're at? Brian, why don't you go first?
You can find me, Brinkalizer, on Instagram. I'm proud to break in the Realm Facebook group.
Get my money's worth. Get
You
my
should do
money's
the whole
worth.
show in that voice next week.
That was at least worth $20.
Right.
Right
Yeah.
there.
Cost of ownership has gone down.
I'm getting messages from EE Prime that I fucked up the Ian's podcast. You know what, Eric? Why don't you get on here and do this?
Yeah.
Dick.
Well, with that, you can find me at Dominic Rosso in the groups and here Tuesday night with you fellas. And,
Hey, I don't know
like
if
I said,
I don't know if they do record either on Saturday or Sunday, Eric. So I don't know. It comes out one day of the week, and that's when I fucking watch it.
Comes
So
out
if
on
you want to
Thursday.
come on, there's a 6th slot. I can get you on right now. You could tell everybody where to find your favorite podcast.
there
Eric,
you go. Call him
please
out.
jump
Get his
on.
ass out here.
Jose's not fucking here, okay? I don't have that fucking lingo the way he does, okay? Anyways, Gary, let's tell him where you're at.
Yeah, you find me, Gary Allen, in the Facebook groups is the easiest way. Find me there.
I'm
Dominic.
there. You can find me, Dominic Rosso, in the groups and here Tuesday nights with you guys. And when it comes to purchasing decision, guys, use your friends. Call, ask people. They definitely give you some information, and it's a information is valuable. So when coming to any type of decision, and if you have reach out to the group and any of our members, we can definitely share or enlighten in that process and that thought process that you might have. So.
Wow, Dom, are you really offering your services, right?
Yeah, dude. I love it.
Are you
I
going to
love
turn
it,
your messenger on once in a while?
I just don't answer you, Dave. I just don't answer you. I actually start typing and then I just don't. I leave it alone.
Right, I'm gonna talk to somebody I actually like right now. All right, so JD, won't you tell them where to find you?
Well,
you just like him because he's customizing figures for you.
Oh, that's not true.
That's fucked up.
You know what, JD? Send me all those figures back. Dom's gonna customize them for me now.
Oh,
yeah, you want fucking like Kindercare, like crayon custom? No problem. I could do that.
You'll never get them then.
Oh, you'll get them. It's just not when they won't look good.
Anyway, pigment surgery and shelf gravy. I'm more active than Dom is. We'll say that.
Yes.
Only
After
when the
2
sun
o'clock.
goes down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Only when it's what?
7:30. Don't fucking bother JD because he's fucking sleeping.
In the morning. Yeah, in the morning. We'll see. We're gonna try and change that here soon. Anyway, yep. Tuesday night here with these guys. Tomorrow night,
baby steps, JD. Baby steps, JD. Come on, can't all change the world at once.
All right.
Try and change my own. That's what we're doing.
So we'll be hanging out with these two bickering dudes after this. But you'll find me here on Tuesdays. I'm Energon Addict on Instagram, David Cologne in the Facebook groups. And I'll be sending sweet apologies to Eric because Eric's upset. EE Prime. I will continue to bash you until you understand that I love you. So get that through your head, buddy. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, Jose will be here and he can give down the rundown on all those great podcasts that are on here. See you guys then.
Every cheers.
Say it with me now. Really?